Instagram, TikTok. Hello, everybody, and welcome. TikTok. So glad that you all are here today. Hello on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Live. So glad that you guys could join us today. And I'm just going to check and make sure that you can see us, but drop your good mornings in the chat so that we know that you're here today. Drop your good mornings in the chat. I would love to see your beautiful acknowledgement, and I like to call your name, so I like to know that you are here. Today, we are going to tap into a powerful, powerful moment, and it's called Don't Miss Your Moment, because you have some amazing things that are happening in your life, powerful things that are going to be created and opportunities and things that are happening. And we don't want you to miss your moment. Hi, Brianna. Thanks for joining. For those who are in the Led to More Profit Challenge, for those who are in the Lead to More Profit Challenge, the first thing we are going to do is if you were there for all 5 days, your name got into the contest to win a prize. So you are going to win a gift card to go have some fun at Dave and Buster's, and then we'll spin the wheel one more time for another prize. So in this moment, I'm going to turn it over to Sonia Battle, who has been with us the entire challenge, doing just an absolute and phenomenal job with everything that you helped with. So we want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Coach.
Sonia, we'll turn it over to you so you can spin the wheel.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay, here we go. Let's spin it.
So for those on Facebook, she's spinning the wheel right now on Instagram and TikTok. And the wheel landed on Angela Harris, Mama Harris. Congratulations. Yay. You won, you won. Awesome. And then Sonia, will it let you spin it one more time?
Absolutely.
All right, let's spin it one more time for one more winner. And the wheel is spinning. Those who are on YouTube can see it. And the second winner is Bridget Green. Awesome. Well, congratulations to both of you all. Thank you so much, Sonia. So
You're
Bridget Green
welcome.
and Mama Harris, you guys just both won a prize. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, so happy for you all. Thank you again, Sonia.
Yeah.
Amazing. So let's get started into our session for today, which is don't miss your moment. Hello, somebody. Don't miss your moment. This is such an important topic that was laid in my spirit that I want to share. Hi, James Cherry. Thank you for joining. That I wanted to share with you guys. So, you want to recognize your moments, you want to respond to your moments, and you want to move while the window is open. You want to recognize your moments, respond to your moments, and move while the window is open. One moment can alter the trajectory of your entire life. One moment. One moment can alter the trajectory of your entire life. Just drop one moment in the chat if you're here and you're watching me on live. If you're here and you're watching me on live, your name not in. Drop one moment in the chat. One moment. Hi, Mia, Krishanda, Derek. Welcome, welcome, welcome. One moment can change, Shantae. One moment can change the trajectory of your life. Have y'all ever watched a TV show? I know if you watch the Marvel movies, you can see it, but they'll literally show you how a person's life changes trajectory based on a decision. Or if they rewind the life and they rewind it and they show you if they chose this route, this is where they'd be, or this is who their spouse would be, or this is how their life would be if this route were the route that they chose. Have y'all ever seen that before? Right? You know why? How they end up? Because one seemingly small decision, Shantae, can change everything that follows. Some things seem really ordinary while we're living it and while it's happening, but in retrospect, they are life-altering moments, Peter. His name is Peter Parker that is joining us, and we're literally, talking about that right now. Okay, so a conversation can change a moment, a meeting can do it, meeting a person can do it, hearing one revelation can do that. Right, Fred? Walking into a room can do that, Courtney. The significance of a moment is not always super obvious right at that time, but then it'll be obvious later on. Self-care, thank you so much for the hearts and the love. I appreciate it. Okay, so let me give you an example. When we started Pop Stars Popcorn, that moment was, we didn't know what was happening in that moment. Like my husband went to go get popcorn somewhere, Shawnee, Shawnee, and he had a conversation with somebody. One conversation, and he came home and he's like, babe, guess what? We can do this, this, and this. From going somewhere, being at a specific place at a specific time where another specific person was there. And now, 5 years later, we have a gourmet popcorn store. We've been operating for 5 years, a brick and mortar location. We've serviced so many people, blessed so many charities, met so many amazing people, developed new friendships, helped in the community, and done amazing things from one conversation. Or meeting my husband. I winded up deciding that I made an early decision to go to Elon University. And then they had a weekend that you can come and stay with the student. And on the Sunday, there was a choir concert, and I winded up being there with the person who I stayed with, who would wind up becoming my college roommate. She was a year older than me, but that one decision to go to do early decision, and then I got invited to this and invited to that, and then I met my husband. I met my husband visiting the college before we even both decided to go there. Some doors change circumstances, and some moments also change dimensions. Sarah Jakes talked about the difference between a door and a portal. Okay, so she gave a more metaphor, and she said, like, a door gives you access to another place, but a portal gives you access to a whole nother dimension, a whole nother reality. So, in other words, there are opportunities that simply will improve something in your life, Marcia, but then there are encounters that fundamentally change the way you think. They fundamentally change what you believe is possible. They fundamentally change, excuse me, they fundamentally change the relationships that are available to you, Joseph, or your exposure. They fundamentally change your expectations, your spiritual awareness, and the trajectory of your family or what you can access next. Have you ever, had a conversation or met somebody and it literally fundamentally changed things for you? It wasn't just a door, it shifted your dimension? If you have, just drop a yes in the chat. Just drop a yes in the chat. Sometimes the greatest thing that we receive from a moment isn't just the opportunity, Andrea. It's a new way of seeing what's possible. You could walk into a room one way and leave unable to think the old way anymore. I had a moment like that with one of our mentors, Bishop Marcus Benjamin. Like, had a conversation and it was just like my brain was like, whew, mind changed. I used to leave those meetings and my head would be hurting because it was so much powerful revelation and the dimension was shifting what I knew to be normal and what I knew in the moment. And the same thing for my husband, I'm sure. But the room became more than a room. The conversations become more than a conversation. The revelations become more than information. They become an entranceway into another way of being, right? Have you ever been cleaning out your purse or your wallet, or maybe looking in your car, or maybe in your counters or your drawer in your closet, and you find a coupon? And you find that coupon and you're like, oh, I can use this coupon. And then you realize it was 25% off, but it was only good until 2 weeks before you're looking at it right now. You're like, man, the coupon is expired. Just when you were thinking that you could use it and they would be great. And the painful part is that you had it the whole time. The discount was available, Shantae. The discount was available. Marcia and Courtney. The opportunity was available, Krishanda. It was legitimate, Bridget. The benefit belonged to you, but there was a window attached to it. Somebody say, don't miss your moment. Don't miss your moment. And because it wasn't used during the window, having access to it wasn't enough. And I want to talk today about something I believe is important for our lives, our businesses, our families, our callings, and our future. And it's don't miss your moment. Not every opportunity always lasts forever. I'm certain that every opportunity is not, it doesn't have this unlimited expiration, unlimited time frame on it. There is a time frame that you got to follow the instructions. There's a time frame assigned to what you're being asked to do. There's a time frame assigned to your spiritual obedience. Mia, there's a time frame assigned. And you have to recognize that time frame and not miss your moment, because you can have access to it. Like, oh, I know that person. Oh, I'm going to be seeing them. Oh, they don't live far from me. Oh, I see them at church. Oh, yeah, I know them. My cousin knows them. Oh, I have their phone number. I have their email address. I follow them on social media. And so you think that because you have access, that you can do this anytime you want. But it's just like the expired coupon. Just because you have the coupon, just because you have access, does not mean that a window of time is not important. Hello, somebody? Sometimes God has already given enough light for the next step, and we're waiting for enough light to see the entire journey. You're trying to see the entire journey instead of taking the next step. And there's a difference. Y'all, sorry, I'm sneezing this morning. But there are moments when preparation meet opportunity, and that's what success is. Success is when opportunity and preparedness meet at the same time. Because you can have an opportunity and you cannot be prepared. But when you are and you recognize both, that's when you have even more success, okay? And then there's the greatest danger, and it's not rebellion. The greatest danger is delay. They say the devil's in the delay as well. Delay is also a dangerous paradigm. People that just continue to delay when this is work, when this is perfect, when I have all this together, because later can become one of the most expensive words in your vocabulary. Later and delay is super dangerous, because in your mind, it's like you're telling yourself you gave it a yes. Like, oh, are you going to do this? Yes, absolutely. I'm doing that. It's on my calendar. I'm doing that next year in 365 days. And you feel proud of yourself. But how many people have ever said they were going to do something later, and then that later, maybe you said a month later, and then that month later becomes 3 months later, and that 3 months later becomes a year later. And some people, they recognize they said later, and it's been 5 years. Delay is a dangerous paradigm. Moments have timing attached to them. Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. There is a season for everything. There is a time. There is a time. Somebody put time in the chat. There is a time. So they give you 2 words, season and time. Okay. God is a God of purpose. He's also a God of timing. And guess what? It says a time to every purpose under heaven. What about your purpose? There's timing connected to your purpose. Right? So there was a time for Noah to build. There was a time for Moses to confront Pharaoh. There was a time for David to confront Goliath. There was a time for Peter to go out and get on the boat. There was a time for Esther to speak. Everything has a time. And sometimes the question isn't simply, is this something I'm supposed to do? It becomes the timing. Am I going to miss the timing if I wait? Lord, when do you want me to do this? Is this the window right now? Because a lot of opportunities have windows. Think about it. Think about hearing about a stock. Think about hearing about a stock and hearing everybody talk about the stock and being like, oh, yeah, oh, and then you saying, I'm going to wait. And then you wait. And then the stock doubles and then the stock triples. And now the stock is really high for you to buy it because you waited, right? Applications have deadlines, scholarships have deadlines, registrations close, properties get purchased by somebody else, the job opening gets filled, the coach is no longer available. The program is totally different. They're helping people in a different way. The price goes up because you waited. The plane doesn't stay at the gate because somebody intended to get there. Interest does not stop the clock. Interest does not stop the clock, meaning your interest, our interest. If when we're interested, that doesn't mean that the clock stops. Interest doesn't stop the clock. And that isn't punishment. Let me just say that. That's not punishment. All right. If you're watching me on TikTok, I'd love you to drop some stars, some hearts in the chat. Okay. Esther had to recognize her moment, y'all. It says in Esther 4:13, then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not of thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether hold your peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place, but thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. So he's basically telling her, if you wait right now and if you don't take action, your whole father's house and your family will be destroyed at this time. It says, for such a time as this, at this time. Okay. So maybe you're an Esther out there. It may be your moment. God's purpose was bigger than Esther. Your purpose is so much bigger than just you. Like there are people's lives who will be impacted by you taking action and what you do and what you learn and your capacity and ability to serve on this earth and what you have the ability to do. Okay? So, the question is, are you waiting for perfect conditions to take action? Are you waiting for perfect conditions to take action? You know what Esther wound up saying? She gave herself a pep talk. And Esther said, okay, so I will go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. This is what Esther 4:16 says. And if I perish, I perish. She said, this is not y'all. She was like, I'm not even following the rules. But because this is the time, I'm going to go and I'm going to go to the king. If I die, I die. Whew. That's not reckless. She prayed first. She fasted first. She counted the cost and then she acted and she stepped out on faith. Sometimes our moment doesn't look like the moment. And that could be super sobering. Like you may not be aware that what was about to happen, but she was willing to lay it all on the line because she made the decision and she received that this is the time, Malik. This is the time, right? So I want you to remember that. Even in the Bible, there was a scripture when Jesus said, man, you didn't recognize the time. You didn't recognize the time. So we know sometimes people don't intentionally miss it or reject the moment. Sometimes we just don't recognize the time because moments don't always arrive with trumpets. Da, 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 da. If you don't do this right now, your life will forever be different. Take the risk, take the jump, make the investment, do the things. Sometimes it looks like an email or an invitation. Sometimes it looks like an idea that won't leave. Sometimes it looks like being in the presence of somebody that you trust and taking the next step and asking for a deeper level of the relationship. God increasing your business. It may look like something different for you that you're investing in. It may look like a system needing to be built right now before everything happens, before God sends you all the more customers, right? And so it's important to remember that. And perfect conditions are probably not coming. Perfect conditions are probably not coming. So Ecclesiastes 11:4 says, he that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. Y'all, it's so practical. The farmer who says it's a little windy today, those clouds don't look quite right, I'll wait, can become so obsessed with the conditions that nothing ever gets planted. Y'all, I'm just telling you things that are in the Bible. I'm going to read it again. He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. Ecclesiastes 11:4. So the farmer who's saying, it's a little windy today, the clouds don't look quite right, I think I can wait, can become so obsessed with the conditions that nothing ever gets planted. And if nothing ever gets planted, then there will not be a harvest. And some people aren't waiting for a confirmation. You're waiting for the perfect conditions. You're waiting for the wind to stop blowing. You're waiting for everything to be perfect with your kids. You're waiting until you have all this money in your savings account. You're waiting until everything calms down with the family members you're taking care of or with your parents. You're waiting until all your kids finish school. You're waiting until you lose the weight. You're waiting until you feel more confident. You're waiting until you're comfortable. And comfortable may not be coming. And comfortable may make you miss the window. Somebody say, don't miss your moment. Don't miss your moment, right? Marcia said, and plant it and don't dig it up before it grows. Come on, come on, come on, right? There may never be a week your kids don't need nothing. Trust me, I have 3. There may not be a month where every bill disappears. There may never be a business season where every problem is solved and resolved. There may never be a moment where your confidence reaches 100%, right? There may never be a morning where somebody wakes up and announces, wonderful, I have absolutely nothing to fear. There is no risk at all in this decision, and everything is going to be amazing. But faith equals risk. Right? So that's not usually how growth is going to work. There's going to be a risk. Maybe you're nervous. Maybe you feel trepidation. That's okay. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Move in the moment. Maybe you're nervous, but you have enough clarity to take a next step. Right? And neuroscience helps us with this as well, because the brain, it loves familiarity and predictability. New territory creates this uncertainty because there isn't an established history yet. And so your brain can make you feel more afraid and more trepidation than maybe what you would normally feel. Discomfort is not automatically evidence that something is wrong. Discomfort is simply your brain saying, this is new to me. I don't have a full track record and history for this. Okay? So you don't have to be super comfortable with everything to make sure you take action. I want to tell you an example of 2 different people taking 2 different actions in closing. Okay? So in Numbers 13 and 30, God had already told the people to go possess the land of milk and honey. Milk and honey. Can you imagine God saying, I'm sending you to a land of milk and honey? When I think of being sent to a land of milk and honey, I think of being sent to a land that has full provision. It has everything you need. It's going to be wonderful, beautiful, luscious, supplied for. Just a wonderful place, right? And so he sent the people, and some of the people that first went out to check out the land, they said, oh my gosh, there are giants out there. We can't go out there. They gave a bad report. They were like, those people are huge. Matter of fact, them men look like giants and they make us look like tiny grasshoppers. But then they sent the next generation up there, Caleb and Joshua. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses. He said, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Everybody be quiet. And he said, let's go up at once and possess the land because we are well able to overcome it. God has even given you guys certain promises and you have yet to possess the land and you think it's on God, but it's on you because he gave you the promise and now it's up to you to take possession of the land. So are you going to think positive or are you going to say it can't be the time? Because there are giants over there. Yeah, he told me to do that, but you're thinking, but if I got to fight something, I got to overcome something. It's not just easy. Like I don't just get to walk into the land and just lay down in a hammock. Then you think it's not God. But this shows you. That the situations and conditions and circumstances don't have to be perfect for it to mean that God is telling you to do something. He told them that it was a wonderful, beautiful place and to go possess it. And when they got there, they were like, there are already giants here. And he said, that doesn't matter. I told you it's yours and to go possess it. Right? So wherever you feel like there may be a giant in the land, the 10 spies, they weren't hallucinating. They were stating the obvious, and there were really obstacles there. They really have fortified cities there. There were really powerful people there. But faith doesn't require you to pretend the problems aren't real. Faith puts the problems in a proper relationship to the promise and the one who made it. Did God know that giants were already there when he told Israel to possess the land? Somebody put yes in the chat for me. He did. So the existence of the giant didn't cancel the instruction from God. The existence of your giant today, whatever your giant is, you're watching me on this live. You may happen to watch the replay. Whatever your giant is today, it does not cancel what God told you to do, and that it's time to move. Whatever your giant is today, because we probably all have a giant. We probably all have a giant. Your giant could be competition. It could be limited capital. It could be technology that you need to learn. It could be a skill gap. It could be needing more employees or more people, Toya. It could be anything. It could be fear. It could be the environment you grew up in. It could be a lack of support. Everybody has a giant. Everybody has a giant, Jamaica, but it doesn't cancel God's instructions. So the question isn't, are there giants? The question is, did God know about the giants when he gave you the instructions? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. And sitting here is not working. Just like the lepers in the Bible, there are 4 leprous people, and they were at the entrance of the gate. And they said to one another, y'all, if we just sit here, we're going to die. So one of them said, why sit here until we die? We could enter into the city, and then the famine where there's a famine in the land. We could enter into the city, and if we die trying to get there, we die, but at least we have hope, right? And so they got up and they decided that sitting here isn't working. And for some of you, that may be where you are. Sitting right here doing what you're doing isn't working. So it's time to get up. They got up, and when they got up, God made a way for them. The Lord caused the Arameans to hear sounds of chariot and horses and a great army. And so they said to one another, look, the king of Israel has hired the Hittite and the Egyptians to attack us. And so those people that were in the land that the leprous people were going to find some food so they wouldn't die, they went there, and the people that were living there heard all these sounds, and they were like, oh my gosh, the Egyptians are about to attack us. They got up and they ran. And they abandoned their tents, they abandoned their horses, and they abandoned their donkeys, and they left the camp and they ran for their lives. And the 4 leprous people got to go and occupy that place and that land and get the tents and get the donkeys and get everything. They moved. They made a decision that we're not going to die here. They made a decision that it doesn't look so good here. And we don't even know if they'll accept us there, or they'll kill us, or they'll put us out. All the things that could have happened because they were lepers. They were unclean. But they got up and made a decision. And God had a supernatural miracle happen for them. Whew. They moved, and God magnified what the enemy heard. 4 men were walking, the enemy heard an army. The movement didn't create God's power, but their movement positioned them to discover what God was doing and what he had already done. Sometimes the movement doesn't create the provision, the movement reveals the provision. Don't miss your moment. Some things will not be discovered sitting still. It won't be discovered sitting still. And yes, people sometimes regret the opportunities that they don't take. Many people. And I could give you tons of examples, but I want to tell you today, don't miss the moment. So what have you been delaying? What has been waiting on our movement today? What has been waiting for us to shift? Mavo G. Maybe it's sending the proposal, finally starting the business. Maybe it's getting into the coaching program. What is it for you? Maybe it's hiring. Maybe it's investing. Maybe it's making the phone call. Maybe it's employing somebody. Maybe it's applying for the next thing. Maybe it's submitting the book. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's getting into the room where growth can happen. Maybe it's finally saying, I don't know how to do this next part by myself, but I'm willing to get support. Because sometimes people have prayed about it, journaled about it, talked about it, made a vision board about it, bought another notebook about it, watched 17 YouTube videos about it, saved 42 Instagram posts about it and TikToks, and the only thing left is to do it. So don't be just doers of the word and don't be just hearers of the word and not doers of the word. Because in James 1:22, it says you only deceive yourselves. I want to close with this encouragement. This isn't a message saying you should have moved 5 years ago. Look, you messed up. Not, absolutely not. This is not that. Okay. Because somebody may be listening and thinking, but did I miss a moment? I should have started sooner. I should have said yes. I should have taken the opportunity. I knew better. But here's the good news. We're still here. You're still here today. You are still here today. And as long as God is still writing the story, regret doesn't get to write the ending. You are here seeing this for a reason and for a divine purpose. And Joel 2:25 says, I'll restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. So God is a restorer. So we don't have to spend any of today mourning over expired coupons. Hello, somebody. I want you to ask yourself what's available to me now. What opportunity is there now? What step will I take today? What instruction am I taking now? Because the hurdle is not always going to disappear. When I enrolled in coaching with my mentor, I decided I wasn't going to play the money may I game anymore. That I wasn't going to keep asking my money for permission to step into the greatness and get the information and the support that I needed to grow. And so I made a decision not even having the money. And guess what happened? Every month I took action, I took action, I took action, and the money came, and I worked to build it, and it kept me motivated to create opportunities and to make money making moments so the money could come. But if I would have waited, I had already waited. I had already waited 5 years. I had already been saying, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't have the money. And then one day I decided I'm not waiting for money anymore, because when money would come, something else would feel like it was the priority. So I just made the decision. And providence, divine providence, met me because I took the step, not because I just waited for money to come. So what's your step that you're supposed to be taking? What's your step? Maybe the miracle is that fear is no longer allowed to vote for you. Maybe the miracle is that you, regardless of what it looks like today, take that action step. Okay? So it's very important for you to discern the signs of the time and decide and ask God today, within the next 24 hours, what's one measurable action towards something that I already have clarity about that I should be taking? What's an action? Because the door doesn't stay open just because you're quote unquote interested. The door stays open when you actually walk through it. Okay? Maury, thanks for joining. So let's move. For such a time as this, like Esther, let's open the door. I thank God for giving you the courage and the discernment to not delay anymore and take action. Hi, AD Sal. Take action, Armand. Some people are waiting for their circumstances to change when the first thing God is changing is your exposure. We talked about at the beginning. Some of you guys are stepping not only into new moments, but into new divine portals that give you access to new dimensions. You're thinking it's just a thing, but that association, that connection is giving you access to a whole nother dimension that will change your life. So I want to encourage you with that today. Some of you may be watching and you've been in the Led to More Profit Challenge last week, which was powerful and dynamic. If you were in the challenge, just drop a yes in the chat. And with that challenge, we also have the opportunity to book a More Money, More Freedom call. So if you want to book your More Money, More Freedom call because you're like, you know what, I do want to work with Coach Tavia Jax. I know that the things that she's been talking about, the things that she's been saying is something that is needed in my life to help be a portal to transform where I am. I am known as the abundance accelerator. And if you're ready for your abundance to be accelerated in every area that connects your spirit, soul, your body, your subconscious, and your nervous system, as well as incorporating the laws of success so that you can create more time freedom, more money freedom, do the things you would love, buy more properties, have a more comfortable lifestyle, take care of your kids more, to be able to store up an inheritance for your kids, and to live the life that you know you're destined to live, then book a More Money, More Freedom call. Book a More Money, More Freedom call. Alrighty. I love you guys so much. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for all